East African crude oil pipeline, which is the world's most technologically smart oil pipeline that will transport Uganda's crude oil from the Lake Albert region to the East African coast. The planned Uganda refinery shall ensure supply of petroleum products to the region and cooking gas to millions of homes to preserve forests for the future. Uganda is a low-carbon emitting country and is dependent on renewable energy such as hydropower and solar for most of its energy needs. It also relies on imported petroleum products for its transport sector and industry. As a responsible partner in the effort to minimize the effects of climate change, Uganda passed the Climate Change Act. The oil and gas sector is responding by taking measures to reduce its carbon footprint by decarbonizing the oil and gas projects in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions through the following key interventions. By law, Uganda shall not flare gas during normal oil and gas operations. Uganda's oil and gas sector utilizes the best available emission reduction technologies in the design and engineering of the projects. This includes equipment efficiency optimization and vapor recovery. Preference for low-carbon energy sources like solar and hydroelectricity for oil project utilities, and establishment of advanced leak detection and repair systems to minimize risk of emissions. Adoption of an integrated power strategy that includes recovery and monetization of gas to LPG. This is expected to provide a cleaner alternative to firewood and charcoal. Over 90% of Uganda's population depends on firewood and charcoal for cooking. This is causing massive deforestation at a rate of 86,000 hectares per year. According to the World Health Organization, kitchen smoke causes approximately 10,000 respiratory-related deaths per year in Uganda, mainly affecting women and children. Uganda's oil and gas projects will therefore reduce the reliance on firewood as a source of energy and Uganda's carbon emissions. Investment in cleaner and affordable energy is in line with global goals to encourage growth and protect the environment. Decarbonization of the oil and gas sector is essential and will contribute to a healthier planet. In Uganda, we are building partnerships to ensure a realistic energy transition. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Mabara gange katusabe Richard.
Amabara gange ni nyako nyaimeruda ndi mwikazi wa Mukabara.
Ati ebirungi ebyenju ebitulozere ebirungi ebikopo tukolerwa kutombekera enju. Tulozere omutindo gwegiroho namba tubayire itwe nk'abantu mu tukwe ntukora munego batusa kuombeka enju giki ya mutindo gwa ikopo yetombekeire. Nekindi eyo mulinge tukoleire tukurora etuterero amaju agarungi agali standard oba tinda kangambe obundi yensi yona. Nekichumbiro kila standard yensi yona yatuteraho netoyi eri standard nayo nkunira yensi yona netanka ebyo ebintu tulozere biri birunge bituhindwire kutuyiho mu mbere endi byatugaru mu mbere mpyake nungi ekyo tukisimira aba ikop kyonka kukira muno ruhanga no yakozereki ya turabizemo. Emirime imbani nkuramba mulisa ni mba muli dundi kangame mulimi onyinuko misiri ngaruka kulisa lisa obusoro bundi emirime yamane kuntaiza ni egyo ntunuliro.
Recording in progress.
Nkusima muno ruhanga bwe birunge byatukoleire. Nisima muno na ikopo abwebyo nibyo tukoleire nyo kintu tinyakimihiraga mbomezi bwange kyonka ngigira kusanga ruhanga nuwakimpikizoho kandi nenje batumbekeire njo nungi muno ninsima muno naba ikopu bebale muno na mafuta kuzoka nkaha ombunyoro amafuta
Check 1 2 1 2 check microphone 1 2.
All right, so let's rise, guys. Okay, you may be seated. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's press briefing. This is a media ministerial press briefing. My name is Tony Otoa, and I'll be your MC guiding the session today. And I know we have, we have lost a little bit of minutes, so we're just going to try and recoup this. So we're going to be very fast and try and make this as interesting as possible for you. We are going to start off today with a word of prayer and a safety moment, and this will be given by Grace Kengazi. Grace, if you can.
All right, let us pray. Our loving Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunity to share what you're doing in the sector. And just as we super performance in your name of praise. In the event that any alarm goes off, our emergency exit is where you passed. There are stairs there. And then any places of convenience are also outside the entry, near that door where you came through. That is it. So feel safe.
Thank you very much, Grace. She seems to know her place or her way around the building. So we're going to do a quick round of introductions, just your name and the media house that you represent. This is just to have a feel of who is in the room. We can start our press briefing. I will start off with my brother at the back here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kitubi Martin. I work with a New Vision.
Good morning, everyone. Maiko from GCIC.
Good morning. My name is Hakim Wampamba. I work with NBS TV.
My name is Paul Chiberu from Bukede Radio.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Josephine Dagano. I work with Radio 1 under Kabozi.
I am Wambi Michael. I work with Uganda Radio Network.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Twina Locious, working with Nation Media Group.
George Katagwa, work with NBS TV.
Leon Chigozi, CGTN.
Patrick Kaiwa, BBS 35.
Brian Okesho, Elix News.
Good morning, Leon Senyange, Chinese Global Television Network.
Dennis Igoa, UBC TV.
Christopher Chiza, Chimpo Reports.
Dennis Kato, Beck TV.
Yusuf Masaba, Petroleum Authority of Uganda.
Josepha Jabo, Barra Magazine.
Good morning, Miriam Namtabi, photojournalist, New Vision.
Good morning, Afsal Mutesi from Zebek International.
Good morning to you all. My name is Betty Ndagiri. I work with the Nation Media Group.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Kasura. I work with Ministry of Energy as Communications Officer.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Bukenya, trainee, Ministry of Energy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Patricia Litho, Communications Ministry. You're most welcome. Otto?
Good morning. My name is Muheza. I'm President from the COE.
My name is Boa Nathan. I work with Star FM and UBC Radio. Good morning, everyone. Nelson Mandela, CML Day.
Titus Jemba, BBS 35.
Thank you very much. So now we are going to go into the press briefing direct. We're going to have the remarks. Oh, sorry, I was focusing, I think, on the journalists. Okay, so. All right. Thank you very much. So we will now go to the remarks and address to the media by the Minister of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Honorable Ruth Nankabira. Honorable. Here.
Good morning, friends and colleagues. Welcome to today's interaction. Before I present my remarks, I would like to express deepest condolences on behalf of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Deepest condolences to the President of Uganda and fellow Ugandans for the loss of many Ugandans that have perished in Chitezi. News has been going around up to today. We are still recovering bodies. It has been a tragedy. And I thought that before I speak, I express deepest condolences. And may the good Lord sustain the bereaved families, and may their souls rest in eternal peace. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this media briefing on the ongoing developments in Uganda's oil and gas sector. This second briefing during the year 2024 is a testament to our unwavering commitment to transparency and accountability in line with the principles of the extractive industries transparency initiatives. I would like to thank all of you who have been trying to keep track on the developments. Friends from the media, you've tried to keep the country informed, and I appreciate that. So I'll be touching on many sectors, what is happening upstream, midstream, downstream, but I'll also conclude by informing you about progress on UNOCO's mandate, new mandate of bulk importation. So on the Uganda's flagship oil and gas projects, following the landmark final investment decision that was announced on the 1st of February 2022 by the joint venture partners, that is TotalEnergies E&P Uganda, China North Offshore Oil Company, CNOOC, Uganda Limited, and Uganda National Oil Company, which is Uganda's company. Uganda's vision for harnessing these resources is steadily materializing. The projects include the Tilenga and Kingfisher projects in the upstream sector, with investments of about $6 billion alongside the East African crude oil pipeline, valued at $5 billion, and the Uganda refinery project estimated at $4 billion, both in the midstream sector. Together with the government's investment in supportive infrastructure and the renewed focus in exploration for additional oil and gas resources, these projects represent a substantial investment of approximately $20 billion into Uganda's economy. I am therefore delighted to present to the public key highlights of the projects of the development of Uganda's key oil and gas projects. On the upstream, the government continues its efforts to make new discoveries and enhance our current petroleum resources, which stands at 6.5 billion barrels, but with 1.5 billion recoverable. Since 2017, Oranto Petroleum Limited and Ama Energy Uganda Limited have held licenses for the Angasa deep and shallow play and Kanyuataba contract areas, respectively. These companies are continuing to require technical studies aiming at drilling exploration wells. In February and May of 2023, additional exploration licenses were granted to Uganda National Oil Company and DGR Tranco Uganda SMC Limited for Kasulubani and the Tranco contract areas, respectively. These licenses concluded the second competitive licensing round, which began in 2019. Both companies are now conducting technical studies and gathering data in preparation for exploration drilling. The ministry is also conducting preliminary petroleum exploration studies in the Morotoka Dam Basin to assess its oil and gas potential. Similar surveys have started in Choga Basin, with plans to initiate studies in the Hoima Basin soon. Early results suggest the potential for commercial oil and gas in the Moroto-Kadam Basin. These exploration efforts are expected to increase Uganda's petroleum reserves, extend production beyond 25 years, and enhance the viability of the midstream projects such as the refinery and the East African crude oil pipeline. In January 2023, Total Energies, E&P, applied for certificates of surrender for Joby East and Imperial discoveries, followed by the Lake discovery in December 2023. Field assessments were conducted to evaluate site conditions and address compliance issues with the goal of finalizing these handovers. The process is expected to be completed by end of this year. Specifically on the Tilenga projects, the Tilenga project, spanning both the north and south of Nile in the Nuoya district and Lisa district, is making remarkable progress. 63 out of the planned 426 wells have been successfully completed, with positive hydrocarbon shows in the targeted reservoirs. Additionally, development plans for a liquefied petroleum gas facility have been submitted to government and are currently awaiting approval and issuance of a license. Drilling activities have so far focused on 6 out of 31 well pads that will host 426 producer and injector wells for Tilenga project. The well pads are Jobiri 5 and 4, Njiri 3 and 1, and Igunya 1 and 4. All 3 rigs designated for drilling are operational, and a total of 63 wells have been drilled as of August 16th, 2024. Currently, 7 well pads are over 85% complete and ready to receive the rig. Civil works at the Tilenga Industrial Area, which will host the Central Processing Facility, CPF, drilling support base, construction camp, and other facilities are at 99.7% complete. All sections of the industrial area have been handed over to the drilling and wells construction and the engineering procurement, supply construction and commissioning contractor. The construction of CPF, the Central Processing Facility, is progressing well, with the erection of the main pipe racks and the construction of equipment and foundation bases underway. Overall completion stands at 47.8%. At the 4,000 occupancy construction camp, 4,000 persons, assembly of accommodation units continued, with a current capacity of 2,500 people, as well as the construction of recreation facilities. On land acquisition, all necessary land for Tilenga project has been secured. The project was able to accomplish voluntary land acquisition for 99.7% of the project affected persons. That is 4,917 out of 4,930. And the cash compensation has been duly and fully paid. In addition, the in-kind compensation for the PAPs, that is land for land, stood at 21 out of the 33 PAPs. This represents 63%. At Kingfisher Development Area Project, this project is located in Chikube District. and is operated by CNOC Uganda Limited on behalf of the joint venture partners. The development plan includes, again, a central processing facility like in Tilenga with a capacity of 40,000 barrels per day, and the drilling of 31 wells across the 4 well pads. 31 wells for Kingfisher, which will be accessed through 4 well pads. On the drilling operations, drilling of production wells began on the 24th of January, 2023, using a single rig operated by COSL, C-O-S-L. So far, 9 out of 11 wells which were required for first oil have been successfully drilled. Regarding the engineering, procurement, construction activities, one, construction of well pad sites and infield roads is well underway with 92% of the work completed. This represents work package 1. There are 4 work packages. The second work package, that is EPC2, for the supply base station, permanent camp, and safety station is at 82% complete. For the third work package, EPC3, for the Kingfisher project, which includes the Kingfisher Central Processing Facility, lake water intake pump station, infield flow lines, and well pads, is at 30.3% complete. Then on the EPC4 package, covering the high voltage power line and feeder pipelines, has reached 50.9% complete. This includes ongoing activities like pipe laying, welding, testing, insulation, painting, trenching, and river crossing for the feeder lines, as well as trenching and civil works for the 66 kV power line. On land acquisition for Kingfisher area, the project has successfully acquired approximately 1,020 acres of land needed for this project. Both the Tilenga and Kingfisher projects are implementing various livelihood restoration programs encompassing transitional and psychosocial support, agriculture improvement, reproductive health services, vocational training, and business development services. Let me now touch the midstream projects. The East African crude oil pipeline. Significant progress has been made on the East African crude oil pipeline, ECOP, since the ECOP company was granted a construction license in 2023, allowing civil works to commence at the main camps and pipe yards in Hoima and Sembable district. And the engineering, procurement, construction, management, and commissioning activities for ECO project are ongoing in London and Dar es Salaam. Wole is undertaking this work with its subcontractors, ICS Engineering in Uganda and Noplan in Tanzania. The overall progress of the EPCMC activities was at 39.2%. The engineering phase was at 81.1%, while procurement is at 54.5%, and construction and commissioning at 15.4%. Detailed engineering being carried out by Wole was at 89.1%, surpassing the planned 88.3%. Construction of the thermal insulation plant in Nzega district, Tabora region in Tanzania was completed and commissioned on the 26th of March 2024. 7 batches of line pipe totaling 500 kilometers have so far been delivered to Tanzania, out of which 5 batches have been delivered to the thermal insulation system plant in Nzega. Civil works commencement, the China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Limited, CPP, the pipeline construction contractor, has begun civil works at the pump stations and the main camp and pipe yard sites in both Uganda and Tanzania. Early works are ongoing in both Uganda and Tanzania, and in Uganda, work has been completed at 3 of the 5 main camp and pipe yards located in Hoima, Kakumiro, and Sembabule districts, while work continues at the main camp and pipe yards in Mubende and Chotera districts. These works, which are being carried out by Ugandan companies, are establishing logistical and accommodation hub to support the construction of the pipeline and the above ground installations. In Tanzania, Nyanza is leading early civil works at the main camp and pipe yards, pipe yard 5, and work at other main camp and pipe yards has been completed. CPP, which is the contractor, has taken over the construction, has taken over to construct the camps. On land acquisition along the East African crude oil pipeline, this pipeline spans approximately 2,740 acres in Uganda, affecting 3,660 individuals, with 177 requiring resettlement houses. All resettlement houses have been constructed and handed over. So far, 95% of affected persons have received compensation, and 97% have signed compensation agreements, with remaining payments ongoing. However, there are like 112 cases under consideration for compulsory acquisition due to issues such as absentee landlords or untraceable individuals, disputes in land ownership, or even family. Some people refuse the amount, and so they ignore and decide to ignore. There are legal documents that we require. We don't just compensate anyhowly. Some of these people lack these legal documents. So the project is ready to compensate fully. But because of those social challenges, we are still remaining with that small percentage. Then on the Uganda refinery project, remember in December 2023, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with Alpha MBM Investment LLC from UAE for the development of the Uganda's oil refinery. Since then, negotiations for the key commercial agreements, including implementation agreement, crude oil supply agreement, the shareholders agreement between Uganda and the company or the consortium. These began in January 2024 and are currently ongoing. and the Attorney General's office, my office are very critical. They are the ones at the negotiation table. Once these agreements are finalized, the consortium is expected to promptly, swiftly begin the project implementation. These efforts are crucial for Uganda's ambitions to boost oil production, to drive economic growth, and generate significant national revenue. On Kabale Petrochemical, Kabalega Industrial Park, UNOC has additionally progressed very well with the establishment of 29.57 square kilometers for Kabalega Industrial Park, and key milestones have been registered. It is situated 55 kilometers west of Hoima in Kabale Parish, Buseruka Sub-County. It's anticipated that the Kabalega Industrial Park will promote the rapid development of the oil and gas industry and other support economic activities in this area. And below is the status on the key infrastructure in the industrial park. One, the airport, which stands at 95% complete and is expected to be ready by the third quarter of 2025. Construction of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Pump Station 1. Pump Station 1 is critical. It will be where the metering will take place, where we will begin counting the volume of what is going to go through the crude oil pipeline. This and at Kingfisher feeder lines is steadily progressing. The contract for the design and build of 240 megawatt substation was signed and will be completed in the third quarter of 2025. The design for the water reticulation, waste management, and the 94-kilometer road network and the 30-kilometer double fence and access to keep have been completed. Construction of UNOC site offices is set to commence in the fourth quarter of this year, 2024. And an MOU to commence the construction work, scoping process for phase 1 infrastructure has been signed between Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Uganda National Oil Company, and SBI. The land allocation policy was finalized, and the land service rates are up for presentation to Cabinet for approval. This is a park like other parks where plots will be demarcated, and so we need to develop the rates, and the Cabinet has to authorize me for the charges that we'll be charging. The strategic environmental social impact assessment for the Kabalega Industrial Park awaits approval from NEMA. I'll touch base with NEMA and find out what the problem could be so that we can fast track this environmental assessment requirement. I cannot end my presentation without touching the national content, the economics and the national content. Contracts valued at $5 billion have been awarded to the Tilenga and Kingfisher and eco projects. And out of that, 7.2 billion approved by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Notably, $2 billion representing 41% of the total contracts awarded have been allocated to Ugandan companies. underscoring a strong commitment to local content and ensuring that significant benefits from these projects are retained within the country. The sector directly employed 14,451 people, out of whom 13,048 are Ugandans. This is 90%. And the licensees directly employed 1,403 people, out of whom 67% are Ugandans. The licensees, contractors, and their subcontractors employed 13,399, out of whom 92% are Ugandans. The companies sourced 4,483 employees from the local communities. And I call this positive discrimination. Then on the downstream, following the amendment of the Petroleum Supply Act of 2003, which we did in 2023, you remember or you recall, UNOC was given the mandate as the sole importer and supplier of all Ugandan-bound petroleum products. The following milestones have since been achieved. The petroleum product supply agreement was signed between Vitor Bahrain, who is their supplier partner, to supply all UNOC petroleum needs, and UNOC established a branch office in Kenya. UNOC received the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority petroleum license to operate in Kenya. The transport and storage agreement was signed between UNOC and the Kenya Petroleum Company. The tripartite agreement between Uganda government, Kenya government, and UNOC was signed, paving way for commencement of the importation business. The first cargo for UNOC, the maiden cargo for UNOC petroleum products, was received on the MT Martinez, which was the vessel that carried 58,330 million tons of petrol. And another vessel, Sinbad, was received carrying 79,968 MT of diesel between 2nd July and 4th July of 2024. Then the pump prices, because this was a question, you've received this. Are we going to see a reduction on the pump prices? The pump prices are expected to decline, and they will decline in the medium term. And we have to note, however, that petroleum prices are hinged on the global market conditions. I met all the oil marketing companies recently, where I addressed them on the need to see a reduction on the pump prices, because definitely there must be a reduction, because UNOC is helping us to make a reduction on the logistical costs. It has to be reflected on the pump prices. I'd like to thank the oil marketing companies who are trying really to reduce the pump prices. Slowly, they are going down. But there are those whose movement is not satisfactory. Today, I'm not going to mention them, but moving forward, I'll be mentioning them, because there is no reason why we don't see a reflection on the pump prices across board. I would like to conclude by saying that the Uganda's leap in economic growth is partly based on the development of its oil and gas resources, which once commercialized will significantly impact on Ugandans. And the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development is finalizing the review of the national oil and gas policy to ensure that sustainable development of the petroleum resources is in tandem with the current dynamic global environment. Balancing economic growth and social development and environmental conservation remains a priority as the country navigates its path to prosperity. Thank you so much for your kind attention. May you go out there and inform the rest. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to go into the questions and answers session. And please just keep your questions very, precise and to the point. And we're going to use the next few minutes. I hope the questions will also reflect a lot of what has been discussed. So when you're asked to raise your question, please mention your name again and your media house that you represent, and you fire away with your question. Not a story, not a version of your own version, but a question. Thank you. Martin?
Stakeholder that we are going to work with on the refinery project. Then also on bulk trading, Honorable Minister, several times you've mentioned the other two products, diesel and petrol. How about kerosene? Won't UNOC trade in kerosene? Because the local people largely rely on it to light their homes. Recently, you visited Tanzania on regarding you've had negotiations on steel UNOC importing through Tanzania. We request you give us an update on what percentages will be going through Tanzania. Then on the Eldoret Kampala Kigali pipeline, the discussions which you still visited earlier recently. We needed to understand how does Uganda benefit from this project vis-a-vis what we are doing with Uganda National Oil Company. Thank you.
Okay, just hand over the microphone to Cham.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Minister and your team. I think there's good progress. In 2006, I used to report at Daily Monitor, and I was one of the people who broke the story to discovered oil. 18 years later, I'm turning 44 and I'm getting worried. How close are we to first oil?
Okay, you could just pass the microphone to Hakim.
Thanks a lot. Hakim Wampamba from NBS. The minister has hinted about the fact that the prices, the palm prices will ultimately be determined by the global price movements. And when you look down at Brent crude, you'll find it at 79.58 USDs per barrel. So is the WTI. That coupled with the fact that now we're using somewhat a longer route to deliver the Ugandan oil to Uganda, one would suspect that maybe there would be, that the palm prices would remain a little high. Would you want to allay fears of a Ugandan about the usage of the Tanzanian route coupled with prices that are surging worldwide? The second thing is in the first if my memory serves me right, you had promised that the negotiations with Alpha would span for about 6 months. Could something have changed on the way and we do not know about it?
Negotiations with?
Alpha.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Leon Senyange, Chinese Global Television Network. Again, just to reemphasize what a colleague had asked, the Eldoret Kampala pipeline, the status report on that. Then to allow me digress from the oil and gas sector and move into nuclear briefly and hydro as well.
I'm not allowing you. Why did you digress?
Well, it's the opportunity I
We
have.
are here for oil and gas. If you want nuclear, come to my office.
Much obliged. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Kabona is my name. Dr. Cannon, I wanted some update about the impasse of the oil imports, about the volumes. How did it end?
Be straight.
I'm seeking some update on there was
The
difference in the volumes. Yeah, yes.
And we'll just have one more, and then Mr. Wemby? One more, and then we'll have another round after that.
Minister, of recent, there seems to be a shift from stock ECOP to stock another rig in the match shop. I don't know how far you've gone around that issue because
Pardon.
we have campaigners shifting the campaign from stop ECOP to a campaign opposed to another rig in the Tulenga area. What is going on around that issue? And then you talked about the refinery. When do we expect the final investment or the decision on the refinery? And then the financial closure on the pipeline. What is cooking? We have dates when we should tell Uganda about what is happening in that area.
Okay, let me just seek the guidance of the Honorable Minister. Should we take more, or can we do this now?
I can respond to what they have raised.
Okay.
Remain here? Okay. Martin wanted to find out about, are we dealing with one investor on the refinery, or it's a consortium? It's a consortium. They normally bring in expert people who can add on value, and it is up to them. It's not a requirement by government. Still, it is a consortium. Then on the bulk trading, I did not talk about kerosene. I didn't even mention jet fuel, Jet A1. You remember when you amended the act, we also included a schedule that enumerates the kind of products that UNOC will be importing. And kerosene is part of it. Jet A1 is part of it. But more focus has been on diesel and petrol. But these other two products are part of what UNOC is supposed to bring. And Ugandans should not get worried. And when we talk about security of supply, it is security of supply of all the products that UNOC is supposed to supply. The Tanzanian route is progressing well. Dar es Salaam port is congested, and we've been discussing about how we can use Tanga. That congestion is a challenge, but there are also other areas which we put across Mama Samia to make the Tanzanian route more competitive. It is a longer route, but we need to use it, especially for our security supplies. As I speak now, there are huge trucks parked on the Tanzanian side, you know, carrying our security products. You never know what can happen on the Kenyan side. So the Tanzanian route is very critical, and we are moving ahead with it. The EKK pipeline, Eldoret, Kampala, Kigali pipeline, I held the first meeting in Nairobi. We will have to do EK first, Eldoret, Kampala, and then Kampala, Kigali later, because we are looking at DRC, we are looking at, you know, to supply those areas. The importance of this EK pipeline is that we want to save our roads. We want to remove the many trucks that will be picking products from Eldoret. By building this pipeline, we will be saving our road infrastructure. But there is another advantage, because this pipeline will be done in such a way that it has a reverse facility, whereby in case we have our products from Namwavula, finished products from Hoima and Tilenga, we can reverse the pipeline and take products to Kenya. It may be more profitable for the people. And so it is an important pipeline, and Ugandans will definitely benefit. When the roads are saved, Ugandans who use these roads, who have been damaged by the trucks, they will be benefiting. Then the veteran who announced the discovery of oil is worried that he's getting older and older without seeing these products coming out. We have a principle as government under President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We want to be thorough. You know how many days he spent in the bush when people were demanding that we are now ready, let's attack Kampala, we are ready. The guy was saying, goja chidogo. So the president said that we are not in any hurry. The oil will be there for as long as we are not cheated. And it is that principle that has saved us. We would have been like a country I don't want to mention, who are really having nothing from their petroleum resources. The president has been patient, right from halting any exercise until he's sure that Ugandans have been trained to handle the process. And those Ugandans were trained, he keeps on mentioning them. Some of them are here on the table. Hane Malinga, Ernest Rubondo, and others. Those who went for training to come back. Okay, that trust that the president put in Ugandan people to be the ones now to sit at table. When you look at these guys really negotiating with international oil development companies, I feel great. So you are not that old. At least you will see the first oil. Our target has continued to be 2025. In my statement, you've heard, I have mentioned the number of wells that we need to see the first oil. And I've given the percentage of coverage. So we are continuing to drill, and the drilling that has been so far is promising. Okay, is promising. We've not hit air yet, and we pray that we should not. And this is because those who did the discovery, those who did very good work to say that here, Tilenga, you have 426 wells. Kingfisher, you have 31 wells. So far, so good. So let's continue to be, patient. I Hakim is saying that it looks like we are going to use a longer route, and so it will affect on the pump price. I hope I covered you well, the first part of your question. You may see this as a longer route, but there was a much longer route which the president had called middlemen. Okay? Middlemen. From the G to G government to government system, through which Kenya has been importing on our behalf. That is a longer route in terms of the financial implication onto the final price. So once you do away, once you do away with those that have been chopping, okay, from this to a shorter route, Unok to Vitor, period, or Vitor to Unok, Unok or MCs. The other one was, you know, from, let me use Vitor, from Vitor to another company, and then a Kenyan company, because they had to get money, and then they had to make sure that they get fast. As we wait, as Ugandan OMCs, you have to wait until they are satisfied in the volumes. So that was too long. So much as this may appear to be longer, but the policy shift is going to see a saving in logistics, in logistical costs. By mentioning that Uganda cannot determine the prices alone without using the international prices, is to alert you that guys will sit in OPEC and determine. But because we have shortened the route internally, even when the world prices go up, it will not affect us as bad as it would have affected us when we were still using the government-to-government system. So, therefore, I'm concluding by calling upon OMCs really to reflect this on their pump prices. Let them not make exorbitant profits, because we know what they are doing. Then the negotiations with the consortium, we are trying to fast track. We are really trying to fast track, and we would like to find what we can do. You know, we will synchronize the program so that we will handle certain things simultaneously. Yes. And we've been promised. And the consortium promised that they have money. I don't think they will. You remember the first consortium had a financial methodology which is no longer tenable because of the global narrative on fossil fuel. The initial consortium thought that they will work out this project, put it on the capital markets, people will buy in. Who buys in a fossil fuel related project? These ones have their money. So we just want to assure them that the crude will be there. That's why we need the crude oil supply agreement to cement it. Although the ECOP Act stipulates how much will go to the refinery, they want a specific crude oil supply agreement, and then the implementation agreement. Once these are done, the remaining work is going to be fast-tracked. Then, let the other one I think was emphasizing a certain point and wanted to digress to nuclear, which is not acceptable. Cabana, difference on volumes, how did it? Oh, I remembered that the other time I told you I was going to go back to Kenya because of the bond fees of 40 million US dollars that had been put on the 15,000 million liters. We continue to negotiate. We continued actually to put our case as Uganda before Kenya. The consumption for Uganda is known. We are not concocting it. There is data. It's 80,000 metric tons. It is confirmed. Why do you allow 65,000? Who will the gap? So we are widening our eyes and we are saying we need the whole volume that we consume. We have continued, and the Kenyan authorities have accepted, because it is not a favor. No. Access to the coast is not a favor. It's not a favor. And so the reason why we made the policy, the new policy direction, is the two objectives. It's security of supply. So when you chop 15,000 from me, where is the security of supply? And the fact that Cabinet and the Parliament amended the law to allow UNOC to be the only importer. We are not going to allow fuel brought in by any other system other than that one which is required by the law. So if you give us 65,000, where will the balance come from? So we had to insist that we need the whole amount. So we are moving on, but through really strong, presentations. And Uganda and Kenya are like brother and sister, so we have to bear that in mind. Refinery, FID, and then FID for ECOP. You remember the president sent me to China to meet President Xi Jinping, where I met the banks in China, including Sinosure, and I was promised that this month of September, we expect to seal this. That's what I was promised, and so we are continuing to pursue this. So this is a sensitive period we are entering. Now I'm speaking to Ugandan reporters. Please, the stage at which we are is sensitive. When you are reporting on ECOP, know it very well that we are now at a sensitive stage. We don't want any reporting to injure this baby whom we are seeing coming out. And ECOP has an impact on upstream development. It facilitates upstream development. I have explained what is happening upstream. Those who are drilling, they have high hopes that they will be able to sell their crude through the East African crude oil pipeline. So when you are reporting, bear this in mind. Bear this in mind. Those who are aligned to give us money, to put in their money. First of all, commercial viability was done, assessment was done, the projects are still commercially viable. I've told you that we are expanding on the exploration. I've told you that the midstream infrastructure will
be utilized even after 2020, after 25 years. We are making new discoveries. We are making more explorations to make sure that the refinery stays and the crude oil pipelines stay also. So these are two projects that will serve Ugandans for a longer period. So I think, I don't think I've left anything. I've tried to capture what you raised, and we can
Okay.
we can have another round, which will be the last one, and then I leave you to go and spread the gospel.
Okay, can we have the last round?
UPE yajja abantu bonna bategeera oluzungu.
You can just raise your hand and we can move the microphone to you.
So the Luganda, I think you'll have to ask, because I'm not going to read my presentation in Luganda. How do we do the Luganda now?
Okay.
By asking questions in Luganda? Okay. Specific questions. Hmm? Have we concluded the English session? Remind me.
The one on the deployment of the second rig in the mansion. It's a sticky issue, and some people are making noise about it.
Tell them to keep quiet.
But why would PAU not grant them permission to deploy a second rig in the mansion?
Because they have a development plan they submitted. Field development plan. I've told you, before you do anything, you prepare. And most of these things have signatures by the developers. You can't just stand up and say, now, instead of developing these wells up there, we want to change. We want to change, okay? So when you ask, why wouldn't PAO allow? PAO is guided. You don't just wake up and, there are field development plans, there are requirements for environmental issues, how you are going to drill in the national park, what color of machinery, don't just bring red, at least yellow. Am I lying? It is yellow. I don't know the relationship, but scientists are the ones that determine that yellow. Please, I am not joking. This is not negotiable. It was determined. So I was just telling you that the details, how far we go into the details, the sound, you have to control it. So everything is on paper. So really, when you see government hesitating on a need or on a request, then you know that we really have some challenges. So those people who have shifted from ECOP to whatever, Uganda is determined to exploit her natural resources. They better abandon the idea of frustrating us, because they will not manage. They will not manage. So English completed?
Just quickly on the financing, you mentioned the banks you made decided to show up. Are you able to mention the other banks?
Exim Bank, what? Those big banks. There were 9 in the room. And from there, I went to Paris, where I met Total at their headquarters. And they told me, they showed me a list of 9 European banks that have joined in. And I didn't want to mention the names, but this was a requirement from China, that let this project not be seen as a Chinese banks only. And so, and because of what the challenges that are happening globally, which have pulled some big countries to revert to using dirtier sources of fuel, really, some banks have seen it, European banks have seen it, and they've joined. And so we have high hopes that very soon we shall hear FID announced. Yeah, and the other time I explained how we bridged the gap because we had exhausted the equity and this FID was not coming. So shareholders increased the equity. Uganda paid, Tanzania paid, Total paid, Sinoco paid. So we are able to do work. Right now we are not stranded. We are able to do work at ECOP as we wait for FID to be announced. Yes. Uganda. We have to go and have breakfast. It is organized somewhere else because of your gadgets. We normally have breakfast behind there. Airport, what about it? What is happening is that the completion is at 95%. We are just waiting for one critical issue of a radar. And that one, its installation does not require ages, you know. It's just that one thing. Otherwise, the access road, when you go there, you'll be excited. Access road to the airport is being worked on. It's exciting. Maybe next time we will organize PowerPoint so that you are able to see, since we are not always on the ground. Even me, I feel there is a lot that has been added on from where I left it. It's so exciting to walk on the airport, to see those roads being done. So exciting. So we've concluded on English. You are now taking me back to the report. Okay. Kati mfunye omukisa olwaleero nate nekomawo nga enkola bwendagira nti n'amalanga ekiseera ekigere nenkomawo nennyonnyola bannayuganda ku wawe tutuuse ku kusima amafuta gaffe. Njagala kwebaza abo abali mu mulimu guno ogw'okusima amafuta, era njagala okutwala omukisa guno okubategeeza nti ebintu bingi ebigenda mu maaso, amafuta agasimibwa ku point emu eyitibwa Tilenga, nga bano balina enzizi 426, wenjogerera kati nga batuuse ku nzizi 63, ate nga twetaaga enzizi kale nga 100 okusobola okulaba nti amatonda agasooka gavaayo, era nga omulimu okoleddwako, enzizi ezituukiddwako ziraze nti amafuta gyegali. Munnayuganda ajja kubuuza lwaki ago temusooka ne mugajjayo. Amafuta agano tetusobola kugajjayo kati kubanga tetulina wa kugateeka. Agamu galina okuyita mu ddongoosezo refinery, amala galina okuyita mu mudumu bagende bagalongooseze ebweru. So eddongoosezo bwe liba terinaba kuggwa, then amafuta tugatuukako ne tugalekawo awo. Ekyuma ne kisituka, kyekimu ekyo ne kigenda ne kisima, ne kituuka ku luzzi, ne kisituka ne kigenda ne kisima, ne kituuka ku luzzi olulala. Era waliwo okulongoosa okusookerwako, mu luzungu tukiyita Central Processing Facility. Omwo mulimu emidumudumu mingi nnyo kubanga okulongoosa okusookerwako okukolerwa awo ne tujjamu kakica we twogerera kati nga okwo okulongoosa okusookerwako emirimu gitambula bulungi. Awo tusuubirawo abantu abasukka mu 4,000 awo mu Tilenga. Naye kati ebiriwo sofa ebiteekeddwawo abantu nga2,000 basobola okusulawo, ebisulo weebiri n'ebirala ebikozesebwa weebiri. Ekyo nno kabonero kalungi akalaga nti tutambudde bulungi. Era awo tuba tulina n'okutunulako ku awalala we tusima amafuta bano nga Bachina be bagasima abasinok. Bano bo enzizi zaabwe ziri 31 naye nga mu kusima baakatuuka ku nzizi 7 era nga tulaba nga batambudde bulungi. Bano nabo era balina eddongooseza erisookebwako lye balina okukola nga bali abattirenga kubanga nabo balina okuzimba ezo pipes amafuta gali nga gaakavaayo balina bye bagajjamu. Waliwo ne pipe endala ezirina okuteekebwa wansi ku ground zino zitwale agagaba galongooseddwa okulongoosa okusookebwako eri mu ddongooseza eddene lye tuyita refinery. Ezo nazo pipe nazo zitandise okuleyingibwa. Naye ago gonna amafuta gagenda ate kutuuka Kampala namwabula mu tanka egenda okugatereka. Emirimu egyo giyita mu districts nnyingi, Sembabule, zonna ezo ze namenye. Naye olwa distance empanvu waliwo kampu eziteekwa okuteekebwawo ezisuza ezisitowalinga ebikozesebwa ezisuza abantu abakolawo. Kampu ezo nnene zirimu abantu bannayuganda balya banywa lwekyo bannayuganda balembeka. So tuzirabye nga Sembabule ne Mubende kampu ezo ziteekateekeddwa bulungi era omulimu gutambula. Refinery twasooka ne tufuna abagenda okuzimba refinery naye ne batambula mpola emyaka 4 n'emyezi 9. Wano wenjogerera nga abapya be twafuna tutambula bulungi era baagala endagaano enkulu ekakasa nti ku luudu tujja kumubawa eyo tunaatera okugimaliriza. Tulina n'okukola endagaano nabo Uganda government nabo gye tuyita shareholders agreement era nayo tunaatera okugimaliriza. Bannayuganda bennyini be bali ku mmeeza be bateeseganya n'abantu bano abaabisoma era ababitegeera. Bannamateeka baffe ewa Attorney General Ssaabawoleza wa gavumenti. So abo tusuubira nti omulimu bagenda guddusa kubanga kirabika balina ssente. Bali abaasooka baali baagala kutunda projekiti eno ku mutimbagano aliwo akalengedde naye olw'okubanga nti wajjawo enkola eyakifiiriza ng'abantu ne batandika okuwalana projects ezikwatagana ku byamafuta tetwalaba balengera projekiti eno mangu emyaka 4 n'emyezi 9. So ku luno President Museveni yali mu kalabakalaba nnyo n'abuuza ebibuuzo. Abantu bano tubasuubira nti tebajja kulwawo mu bigambo by'okufuna okukakasa ba financials baabwe nti projekiti ntuufu era ejja kubaddiza ssente. So ffe abaagala okulongoosa amafuta mu Uganda eddongoosezo litukwatako nnyo naye abasima amafuta ate bo batunuulidde nnyo era n'omudimu ogunaatambuza crude oyo okutuuka eri ku gayanja amafuta gye ganaagendera mu malongooseza agali ebunaayira. Kati nno payipu ezigenda okuyisibwamu crude oyo zikolebwa China era kampuni y'Abachina gye bayita CPP yakaleeta payipu eziweza kilomita 5 eziri e Tanzania e Tabora. Naye eriyo ekyuma ate ekiteekwa okusabika pipe ezo. Ekyuma kino lwaki tusabika pipe ezo tetwagala bugumu, kubanga omudumu guno gugenda kuteekebwamu ebbugumu, amafuta ago kurudu ayitamu asobole okuyitamu obulungi kubanga mukwafu. So omudumu guno gujja kubugumizibwamuko. Era tusuubira nti tujja kukozesa maanyi ga njuba, weewaawo nga n'amasannyalaze tujja gatambuza. So ekyuma ekisabika pipe zino kyatongozebwa mu mwezi ogwokusatu omwaka guno e Tabora, era kyatandise omulimu ogw'okuinsulatinga oba okusabika pipe zino. Ejja kubanga cupa ya chai gye tuyita nti cupa ya chai, bw'oteekamu ebyokya n'okwata ku ngulu kuba tekwokya, era bwe kuba kwokya eyo pipe eyo cupa eba yayonooneka. So by'okuuma munda ebbugumu lyabyo oba obunjogovu bwabyo busobola okubeeramu. Ate mbajjukizaako nti omudumu guno twakuteeka wansi ddala tyosobola okulimako n'ebijanjaalo ku ngulu. Kaakati ekikwatagana n'omudumu ogwo kitambula bulungi, naye era mbabuulidde ndi n'ekikwatagana n'okusasula abantu abaataataaganyizibwa okuva mu projects zino z'emmenye kugenda bulungi. Era akakwakuliza akakyatuganye okumalirayo ddala eno e Kingfisher, okumalirayo ddala okusasula abantu abasigaddeyo 112 munnange tebannaba kukkaanya abamu ani anaasayiningira ssente ezo. Abalala tetubalaba era tutadde mu mawulire, era tugenda mu maaso n'okuteeka mu mawulire tubawe ekiseera ekigere tulyoke tukozeseewo bulungi essente tube nga tuzitereka. Omuntu bw'alizuukuka n'avaayo n'agamba wano wange mbadde siriiwo, essente ze nga zimuweebwa, tusobole okutambuza omulimu guno. Era n'awalala ku mudumu guno ogw'e Tanzania abantu bonna baasasulibwa, abalala baasaba babazimbire mayumba, baakwasibwa dde amayumba gaabwe, teri abanja. Bwe tugenda ku kya bannayuganda okuba nti bafunye emirimu ku nsimbi eziyingiddewo ebitundu 41 ku 100 ssente z'abannayuganda, ensimbi eziyingidde mu bannayuganda obuwumbi bwa ssente enzungu eza Amerika ziyingidde mu bannayuganda. Ate era tukkako wansi mu bannayuganda omwo, ate era abasinze okufuna emirimu ate beebo abali ddala mu bitundu bino projects gye ziri. Ekyo twakikola nga kigenderere, era bw'okkayo wansi bw'ogenda ku ground ojja kulaba abantu bafunye emirimu, naye ate bafunye n'okutendekebwa mu bya oba okukwata ensimbi. Omanyi ensimbi oyinza okuba nga zikutabula n'olowooza teziggwewo. Waliwo ehoima eyo omusajja baamuwa ssente n'agenda n'agula pikipiki, n'agenda n'anywa omwenge pikipiki n'agireka ne bagibba, n'agamba balowooza zanzigweddeko, enkya ngenda kugula endala. Balowooza zanzigweddeko baswadde kangule endala. Kakati abantu nga bo beetaaga okusomesebwa nti ssente zino zijja kuggwaawo, ate bazikuwadde olongoose obulamu bwo. Tubatendese ne mu by'obulimi, kubanga abantu abangi ennyo abali mu 10,000 benjogeddeko wano nti baliyo bakola emirimu balya. Infrastructure endala ey'ekisaawe ky'ennyonyi ekyokubiri, Ntebe owookubiri, kumpi awedde, abulako akantu katono nnyo bwe kati katajja kutwala bbanga ddene. Akantu akaliko entangaazo, naye nga tamaaka n'ebirala byonna waggwa. Singa akantu ako kaluŋŋamya ennyonyi engeri gye zijja ne zigwa, ke kafuga communication oba okuwuliziganya, kwe weewuunya lwaki ennyonyi tezitomeregana nga zirandinga. akantu ako ke kalungamya sooka oleke kakati wano ke kabulako kokka naye nga emirimu emirala gyonna gyakolebwa nekkubo kolas ekkubo nga bwe tunagamba nti Entebbe road ndowooza bali litunaliyita tutya erikutwala ku airport eyo nalyo lyatandikiddwaku bayiye kolas. Kati era mujjukire nti ebinaava byonna mu ddongoosezo ate bijja kukolebwamu ebyomugaso ebirala. Waliwo ekitundu kye tuyita Kabalega Industrial Park era nakyo kiri eyo kilomita 29.57. Ettaka twaligula era teri abanja era n'ebikwatagana ku mazzi aganaakozesebwa mu industrial park eyo n'ebirala byonna biri mu kukolebwa byawedde. Ebyo ebyamazzi water reticulation n'ebirala byawedde. So ebintu bino byonna byenjogerako bigenda mu maaso kasirise. Gwoba oli mu Kampala oyinza okugamba banaye amafuta nga galuddewo naye amafuta olina okugateekerateekera ensima yaago ennongoosa yaago ganaayita muki amafuta tetujja geetika ku mutwe mu mapipa tulina okuteeka pipes kwegamba bwetaagayo amasannyalaze tulina okugateekayo layini z'amasannyalaze KV 6 tulina okugateekayo naye bannayuganda njagala kubawa ssuubi nti tutambuza bulungi omulimu guno. Omuntu ayinza oganda naye muluddewo tuluddewo naye amafuta tegavunda waakiri tulwawo naye nga tumanyi tugenda gafuna okusinga okupapa ne bakubba ne twanjala engalo mu bannayuganda twali tulowooza teriyo byakulowooza mu kyokusima amafuta tutambula nga tuli sure kubanga twatandikira mu kutrayininga baani abagenda okuba amaaso gaffe nga bannayuganda kwe twatandikira okuba trayininga. N'olwekyo olwaliro nkozesa omukisa guno okubannyonnyola naye era njogeddeko ne kukya amafuta ge mafuta. Oluusi abantu abamu bw'oba oyogera ku mafuta ag'ewaffe agasimwa oli aba alowooza gano UNOCO geereeta. N'olwekyo nakino kankinnyonnyole nti ekitongole kya gavumenti ekikwata ku byamafuta kye bayita UNOCO kyaweebwa omukisa okuba nti be baba batusuubulira amafuta gaffe tujjemu bali ba middlemen ababadde baleetera bannayuganda obunkenke bwa mirundi ebiri bwe gaba gazze matono baffe tunaafuna bannaffe bannakenya nga basooka kwekkusa. Ekyokubiri emiwendo egyo ani anaalungamya emiwendo. N'olwekyo UNOCO yaweebwa omukisa ogwo era yatandikira mu kufuna ebiwandiiko ebigisobozesa okusuubula kuno ng'eyita mu Kenya. Certificates ezeetaagisa zonna eriyo kampani ez'enjawulo e Kenya eriyo regulator osobola okufuna certificate n'ofuna ne office e Kenya eriyo KPC abo abavunaanyizibwa ku storage n'omudumu eriyo byonna bina UNOCO yabifuna era omwezi gwa Julaayi ogwo oguwedde gwa Ssebaaseka ng'ennaku z'omwezi wakati w'ennaku z'omwezi 2 ne 4 twalaba emmeeri nagendayo ne twaniriza emmeeri MT Martinez eyaleeta amafuta gaffe agasooka okuyingira petro diesel naye n'ag'ettaala wamu n'ag'ennyonyi gonna UNOCO yevunaanyizibwa okugayingiza mu ggwanga. So kakati bizinesi etandise naye era wabeerawo obulumira omuntu ng'abadde akulyamu takuviirako awo. N'olwekyo tukyagenda mu maaso n'okukakasa Abannakenya nti ffe mu Uganda amafuta ge tunywa tugamanyi obungi bwago era okwekutula ku sisitimu yaabwe tugeesuubulire twali twagala tuleme kuwankawanka nga UNOCO ereeta amafuta ago gennyini ge tunywa. Era njogeddeko ne ku ruutu yaffe ey'e Tanzania bannayuganda bayinza okuba bajjukira nti nayogerako nti ne Tanzania tetugenda kuvaayo. Tanzania wenjogerera wano trucks zo zisimbye ezo byakwerinda by'amafuta nti singa gano agayise ene Kenya gaba nga galuddewo oba galiko ekintu Tanzania already tulina mmotoka ezisimbye so route ye Tanzania nayo tukyagenda nayo mu maaso. Kati era abamu bawulira nti ate tuwulira omudumu ogunaava Eldoret eky'e Kenya guyite wano Kampala gugende n'ekigali ate nagwo omudumu mugukola ate ne Tanzania gyemuli omudumu ogwo gujja kuyingiza amafuta naye ate mudda tujja kukola reverse gugenda kuzimbibwa nga kukoze reverse nti n'agaffe bwe tuba twagadde okutundako e Kenya nagwo tujja gatunda. N'ekyokubiri loole ezibadde zireeta nga ziyita ku luguudo bwe tuba tukoze omudumu ogwo okuva Eldoret paka Kampala ku storage yaffe truck ezo ezibadde zoonoona enguudo ezibadde zifuwa omukka mu bbanga gwe tutayagala ogwonoona obutonde bw'ensi tuba tuzikendeezezza. N'olwekyo omudumu ogwo nagwo omukulu tutandise enteeseganya nakubiriza olukiiko olwasoose e Nairobi nja kubanga mbayita bajje wano tujja kubanga nga tutuula Kampala Nairobi bwe tutyo. So mu bimpimpi ndowooza bannayuganda njagadde okubategeeza nti entambuza y'amafuta weeri mbasaba mubeere bakkakkamu twayogera ntugasuubira at least 2025 atuuka tufuba okulaba nga ebyetaagisa ebirala nga refinery nabyo tubiteekamu amaanyi kubanga bano abasimi bo batuuse ku mafuta ate tetwetaaga kumala kutuuka ku nzizi zonna 426 gataka 31 zonna tumale zituukako tulyoke tufune amafuta. Omudumu ogunaatambuza ku crude bwe gubanga guwedde refinery webanga ewedde tutandikirawo kubanga enzizi sofa ezituukiddwako tunaatera okufuna omuwendo gwe twetaaga okutandika okulongoosa amafuta. So abasimi bajja genda nga basima nga bagaleka mu ttaka basima tebagajjaayo kubanga bw'onoogajjayo tolina terekero ogenda kugatereka galina kuyita mu central processing eddongooseza erisooka gagende mu lyokubiri gagende mu mudumu gano gagende mu tanka yaffe empigi nga tutandika gakozesa. So kyova olaba nga bwe basima ne bagalaba ne bavaawo ne basima awalala bajja kuddamu kunuuna bunuunyi ng'okusima kwakoze eki kwawedde. N'ebibuuzo mbididdemu ddala. Kibuuzo kirungi ekyo. Gavumenti bwe yagamba nti gwe genda ogula kolagana n'omuntu alina eddongoosezo nga tujjawo bano ab'omu makkati awo abafunako enjawulo. Ekyo kireeta okuseevinga. N'olwekyo bano abagatunda ku pampu ekyo balina okukimanya nti ffe minisita ne ba technical people baffe ffe tukimanyi nti waliwo okuseevinga kwe bakoze. Okuseevinga okwo njagala nkulabe ku miwendo ku pampu. Njagala kwebaza abo bendabye nga basse bali mu 4,000 mu 1,000 1,500 1,400 naye eriyo abakyali mu 5,000. Kampuni ziringanga 2 ziri 2 zendaba. Olwaleero si lunaku lwa kuzoogera oluliddako ndizoogera. Bakyagugubidde basizzaako katono bali mu 5,000 mu 1,200 diesel 5,000 mu 300 naye mbasaba kubanga kati amafuta UNOC etandise okugayingiriza ddala. Amafuta ga August mafuta ga UNOC. Mu July mwalimu mu pipeline amafuta agaalimu. Pipeline tekalira ebeeramu amafuta. Kati okutandika okukozesa agaffe twatandika mu guno omwezi. So kansubire nti going forward tugenda kutandika okulabira ddala amafuta gakola ki nga gakka. Ekyo kyekigendererwa kya gavumenti. Tetwagala kutusindika mu kutandika kugereka kubanga tuli mu liberalized economy tetwagala kutusindika mu kikolwa ekyo ekyokutandika okugamba nti gabeere ku ssente bwe ziti naye tumanyi nti tulina we twabataasiriza kati amafuta gali eri gye tugajja gali tulina savings zetwakoze ze twagala bannayuganda bagabane nga bayita mu kulaba nti pump price esse ne UNOCO nayo twagala efune ku magoba by the way nga company ya government so bintu bibiri UNOCO bw'eneefunako 10 naye ne munnayuganda abe nga asevinzeeko nga ebbeeyi ekoze eki esse Luswahili.
Mwebale nnyo, thank you so much. I think that marks the end of our press conference today. I hope you have gotten all you need. Honorable Minister has offered breakfast, so please do not leave without taking this breakfast. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Thank you.